A new report finds U.S. drone strikes kill, on average, 28 unidentified people for every intended target. While the Obama administration has claimed its drone strikes are precise, the group Reprieve found that strikes targeting 41 people in Yemen and Pakistan have killed more than 1,000 other unnamed people. In its attempts to kill al-Qaeda leader Ayman al-Zawahiri alone, the CIA killed 76 children and 29 adults. Al-Zawahiri remains alive.
Joining us from Berlin is Jennifer Gibson, a staff attorney at Reprieve, author of the new report, You Never Die Twice. First of all, Jennifer, why that title, and talk about your main findings?
I think the title is quite self-explanatory for us. Basically, what happened is we started noticing a pattern among the drone strikes with our investigations in Pakistan and Yemen. And the pattern was that the same high-value targets seemed to die again and again and again. And so when we started digging into it and looking at the news reporting, what we found was that in targeting 41 high-value targets, the U.S. took on average 3 times, it was 3 attempts to kill them. And actually, with 7 of the individuals, they didn't even kill them. And instead, during the multiple attempts, what you had happen was they killed over 1,000 people.
Well, how were you able to compile the data that you used in the report?
So what we did is obviously the drone program is covert. The U.S. government, despite repeated promises of transparency, has refused to discuss the program on record in any sort of detail. So all we had to rely on were public news reports. But those public news reports are often fed by intelligence officials, either American, Pakistani, or Yemeni, and it is often those officials who leak the name of the target as either being targeted or killed in the strike.
Your organization, Reprieve, has legal challenges against those involved with drone warfare. Can you talk about them?
Sure. We have ongoing litigation on behalf of civilian victims of drone strikes, both in the Pakistani courts and most recently here in Germany, which is where I'm at today, against the German government because of a U.S. base here called Ramstein Air Base that leaks have shown is integral to drone strikes in Yemen. The orders to give the strikes are coming through that base. So we've brought litigation on behalf of some of the victims of that program here in German court, basically under the Constitution claiming the right to life is being violated.
Could you talk in particular about the repeated attempts to kill the leader of al-Qaeda, Ayman al-Zawahiri, and was he repeatedly reported to have actually been hit, or that just that a strike against him had been launched?
So Ayman al-Zawahiri is quite a disturbing case because in 2 attempts to kill Ayman al-Zawahiri, 76 children lost their lives. In total in Pakistan, in attempts to target these 41 men, 142 children have lost their lives to drone strikes. In his case, he was targeted and missed on 2 different occasions. He's still alive today. And there are others that are perhaps even more disturbing. You have a man by the name of al-Masri in Pakistan who was targeted 3 times, killed there were 120 people killed in his place. And in the end, it wasn't a drone strike that killed him, but he died of natural causes.
What are your recommendations?
You know, the administration really needs to come clean on what is happening with this program. It consistently tells the American public that this is a surgical, precise weapon, that the strikes are targeted. Don't worry, we're only killing bad guys. What this data suggests is there's nothing precise about the program at all. And in fact, we're potentially killing hundreds in an effort, unsuccessfully in some instances, to get 41 men on a kill list who may or may not be a threat to the U.S. That, in my opinion, makes us less safe rather than more safe.
Jennifer Gibson, we want to thank you for being with us, staff attorney at the international legal charity Reprieve.
Continue looking at the U.S. drone program by going now to Syracuse, where a longtime peace activist and father of 4 is facing up to 2 years in prison for demonstrating outside the gates of the Hancock Field Air National Guard base, which is used to remotely pilot drones. Mark Coville is heading to court today to be sentenced, stemming from his arrest last December.
Mark Coville's action was part of a 5-year-old nonviolent campaign organized by the Upstate Drone Coalition here in New York. Over that time, more than 100 people have been arrested. Mark Coville is a member of the Amistad Catholic Worker in New Haven, Connecticut. Mark, welcome to Democracy Now! Within a few hours, you'll learn your fate if you face 2 years in prison. Tell us exactly what you did. Tell us the date, the time, and what your action was.
Thank you for having me on the show, Amy and Juan. Well, essentially, what I did almost a year ago now, it was December 9th of 2013. I attempted to intervene on behalf of a family in Afghanistan that has experienced the unspeakable trauma of witnessing loved ones being blown to pieces in a drone strike. One member of that family, a man named Raz Mohammed, last year wrote a personal plea to the United States courts and the government, as well as the military, to stop these drone strikes on his people. So Mark,
I want to interrupt because we do have a clip of Raz Mohammed in his own words.
Sure.
I think drones are not good. I remember how, in my village, a drone attack killed my brother-in-law and 4 of his friends. It was truly sad. A beautiful life was buried, and the sound of crying and sorrow arose from peaceful homes. I say that this is inhumane today. The idea of humanity has been forgotten. Why do we spend money like this? Why don't we use alternative ways? The international community says that drones are used to kill the Taliban. This is not true. We should see the truth. Today, it's hard to find the truth, and no one listens to the ordinary voice of the people.
Those are the words of Raz Mohammed from Afghanistan. So talk about now, Mark Coville, what you did.
Well, we took Raz's written plea and we walked peacefully and orderly to the outside gate of the 174th Attack Wing at Hancock Airfield with the sole purpose of trying to deliver this plea directly to one of the base commanders, whose name is Colonel Earl Evans. We brought, it was Advent, the season of Advent in the Christian churches, and we brought along a litany of prayers for saints and martyrs. We brought poinsettia and a dozen roses along with Raz's plea, and we simply wanted to have that received by the base commander. The base personnel indicated that Colonel Evans was not going to come out, and so then we simply asked if we could have Raz's plea received and acknowledged. At that point, the military personnel were ordered not to engage us anymore in conversation, and so we decided to just remain there until we received a response. And about an hour later, the local police came and arrested us. I should say that the drone base located within the jurisdiction of this court, where I'm appearing today for sentencing, it is operating beyond the reach of law, and that was really the reason why I chose to go to the base. I wanted Raz's plea to be heard in a court, and this appeared to be the only way that a court would hear it. And in fact, it was read in open court by one of the military personnel who I cross-examined.
And Mark, when you hear this previous segment that we had, the report by Reprieve, that an average of 28 unidentified people are being killed for every single targeted drone strike, your reaction?
Well, you know, we've known, and it's been reported here on Democracy Now! And in previous reports over the years, that, as I said, the drone program operates, it's based on a foundation of criminality. I mean, the United States government, through its drone program, is claiming the legal right to targeted assassinations, extrajudicial killings, indiscriminate killing and the deliberate targeting of civilians. For example, even the military admits that one of its modes of operation in drone strikes is something that they have called double tapping, which is that after striking a target, the drone is directed back to that same target 20 minutes or a half an hour later in order to strike again after first responders have come to help the wounded. So it's on a foundation of criminality, and as we've experienced in the numerous public actions and arrests at Hancock Airfield, this program operates beyond the reach of courts and law, and what we're trying to do is to get courts to engage the criminality in which the United States government is engaged through the drone program.
How unusual is Hancock? And how central is it to the drone program?
Well, in large part, the drone program is operated in secrecy. We do know that the Hancock drone base, the 174th Attack Wing, focuses its missions on Afghanistan. And they're weaponized drones. They carry Hellfire missiles and 500-pound bombs. It's very difficult to get specific information about which attacks are launched or directed from which drone base. There are about a dozen in throughout the United States that we know about. And we're trying to, just bring this to the light. We're trying to have this brought to the scrutiny of the courts. Now, I'm going to court this afternoon, about 7 hours from now. I was convicted of 5 separate charges for simply walking peacefully to the front outside gate of the drone base.
What were those 5? What were those charges?
5 charges. 2 counts of disorderly conduct, 1 of trespass, which, by the way, are conflictual charges because the one requires that the act take place on public property and the other on private property. Obstruction of governmental administration, which is the obstruction of lawful government administration, which we contend, and I contended in court, that the operation behind the gates of Hancock is not lawful. And I was also charged with a contempt of court charge based on kind of a cynical manipulation of the law that this court has engaged in by issuing orders of protection on behalf of the base commander, Colonel Evans, against protesters, as if we are a physical threat to Colonel Evans. So they've actually manipulated these domestic violence laws, essentially, to try to intimidate people and keep them from going to exercise their rights outside the base.
Mark, we just have 30 seconds, but as we wrap up and you face 2 years in prison, what are you telling your kids? You have 4 children.
Well, yeah, I'm telling my kids, and they understand that whatever hardships that we're about to endure through the injustice of this court, that we should keep Raz Muhammad's family ever in our vision, and try to unite our own sufferings to the incredible sufferings that he and his extended family have gone through. And that's the way that we go forward, and we're well prepared for whatever the judge decides to do. As I intend to tell the judge, anything that he does in the court today makes no condemnation of my actions. The court is condemning itself by stopping up its ears to the law.
Mark Coville, I want to thank you for being with us, with the Amistad Catholic worker in New Haven, Connecticut, being sentenced today for protesting outside the Hancock Field Air National Guard base outside Syracuse, New York. And thanks very much to our friends at WCNY, the PBS station in Syracuse, New York.